This 2026 NASCAR Championship Odds Preview edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code RACESGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. I am glad, Cody, that I got the green top memo because you are looking nice in green. I am looking nice in green, and it is great to be here on a Thursday.
You know, this is 2 days in a row for me, completely unplanned, but I jumped on with our buddy Justin for Old Fashioned Football yesterday. We were both wearing like a lighter blue. Today, you and I both have on the like OD greenish kind of color. So yeah, I love it. It's matching color week. I don't know, not planned, unplanned. I think that's what I was trying to say. I don't know.
I will say this, that I just returned off of my military duty this last weekend. So for those of you who are looking for a Tuesday and or a Wednesday episode, apologies for that. Veterans Day, I'm usually always out of the loop, so did not get a chance to put out an episode. Thank you, and happy Veterans Day to you too, as well, my friend, and to all of you who have served in any sort of armed services. But yeah, so I missed the green memo a couple of days ago. Everybody was wearing a green hoodie. I was not, so I did not want to miss out. Obviously, I'm not now. Wearing a green hoodie, so are you. Those of you listening on the podcast, like, what the hell are they talking about? Don't know, but hi. Hi to you all. Welcome in. I know the off season is not very long, but it sometimes feels that way especially when you're sitting there trying to figure out what to do.
I think this week kind of feels like last weekend it was like, okay, we have F1 to kind of distract us. We got to talk about that, cashed a couple of our bets from last week's show, which was great. It was exciting, had a fun time, and it was a pretty good race we got to watch, right? So that was great. And it was like, sad NASCAR's not here. But then, now we're on to Thursday of the following week. And I'm like, okay, I really need some NASCAR to bet on and watch this weekend. We don't have any races, of course, this weekend. But we do have the futures odds, which will be the main topic of today's show. But, the off-season blues are already setting in for me, Rod.
They are. And Mark is checking in already and wants to know what our plans for the off-season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's resolutions. That's a lot to cover. We'll sprinkle in some of that stuff over the course of these off-season shows. Cody, we need some time filler.
Yeah. But hey, we'll be here all off-season. That's the fun part. Obviously, we're going to talk 2026 NASCAR Championship odds today. There's plenty of new stuff. So there's more stuff to talk about in this off-season than we really have time for, which is great. Next week, the Las Vegas Grand Prix for F1. So we'll get back onto the F1 topics a little bit, along with some NASCAR stuff. So my podcast feed has been a little weird this week. The Teardown had an episode, but no Dale Jr. downloads. Like, they're just dropping some replay stuff. Action Sentimental we're still waiting on that from last week. But all these NASCAR podcasts are just done and gone away. And it's like, my buddies over at the front stretch still have their racing stuff going, so that's great. But I've been kind of sad without NASCAR stuff. So glad you guys have us and glad to talk NASCAR futures bets today.
Indeed, we will do exactly that, but we want to remind you to get every episode of every show in one convenient feed here from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. All you got to do is search SGPN on your favorite podcast app. Subscribe today. You will not miss out. I mean, granted, we are coming to you, but if you are missing some of your favorite other podcasts from NASCAR, try another sport on for size. There's MMA. There's, I don't think there's baseball right now, but there's definitely basketball. There's this thing called football. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they're out there doing their thing as well. And then, of course, the main show is always there to keep you company as well, covering everything you want and more.
Yeah, so many great shows on this network. As I mentioned earlier, I was on Old Fashioned Football yesterday. Go check that out. Had a lot of fun with Justin. Miranda, unfortunately, not feeling well, so glad to get the call to help fill in on that show. Had a ton of fun talking football bets. We picked every NFL game for the weekend, threw in props and other fun analysis and chatter, so it was a great time over there.
What was fun was I was on my way home from where I was at, and my buddy, riding with my buddy, and I pulled up because I saw the notification. I pulled it up, and I was watching you guys for a little bit, and he's like, oh, what's this? And I was like, well, this is my co-host, and then this is my friend that we helped start the show and everything. And he goes, are they live? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, say something. So I said, I threw in a comment, and you read it out loud, and he was so geeked out over the fact that you responded to my comment live, and it was, it was kind of neat to watch him get all geeky about it.
That's one of the fun things that I really like, especially about this network, is it seems like every show is really good about interacting with the chat. I think just about all of us do live shows over on YouTube. Obviously, I'm a podcast listener through and through. I prefer podcasts, honestly. But it is fun to get on the YouTube, be able to interact and be part of the show because you guys are. So we always appreciate that. Welcome your comments today, of course, also.
Indeed. Yes, please. Boy, we welcome your comments today. We need them to help get through. No, we don't, actually, because there's a lot to talk about, Cody. There's a lot of news stuff going on out there. There's lawsuits, there's driver changes, there's number changes, there's emotion-evoking videos that tell us about the number changes, Cody. There's been a lot of news coming out of the sphere this week.
Yeah, so we'll start with that one. Obviously, we know that Daniel Suarez is out of the 99 car for Trackhouse. Connor Zilic is going into that car, but Trackhouse has decided to do some number shuffling, which makes sense. I don't know why they didn't do this previously, but whatever. Ross Chastain will remain the one car. That's pretty set, right? The Busch Light car, kind of iconic for that, at least at this point in time. And then with their other two cars, they're going to put Zilic is going to be with the 99 team, but they're going to switch that number to 88. His number in the Xfinity series kind of flows in well, right? That's what SVG's been driving. And they're going to put SVG back in the 97, which is what he drove in the Xfinity series, what he grew, supercars. His Twitter handle is, whatever SVG at, or 97 at the end of it. And like you said, a big, long video of, the emotion involved in it. His father raced in the 97. The number means a lot to him. So why they didn't give him 97 last year, I don't know, because it was available. But good to see that they're, doing that now and giving him his number. And despite what Ken Schrader will tell you, numbers mean a lot, even in racing. And I think that SVG proved that in this video, which was a great video. And so just some minor number changes and different looks on cars going into next year.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of people are like, well, all these numbers need to be retired, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, if you retired numbers in NASCAR, then you would be driving 100s before you even, because, there's a lot of greats that have driven these cars. And you go back to the early years of it, right, where the 1940s, there was some iconic names that are driving these numbers of cars. You can't retire car numbers.
And retiring would be hard, obviously, with especially just doing two numbers in NASCAR. But you think about how much you associate guys with numbers, right? Dale Earnhardt's the 3, Jeff Gordon's the 24, Jimmy Johnson's the 48. And there's just guys that are associated with numbers. And for some people, it is multiple numbers. Dale Jr., right? You associate him with 8 and or 88 because he had 2 full careers with, like, Kobe Bryant, right? He is both the 8 and the 24 for the Lakers, right? So numbers are very sentimental to some people, especially. But I think that they're important and a lot of good stories behind them usually. So, I love for SVG to be able to honor his father and the number that he drove in that.
Yeah, that's like with the 16 being Joe Montana forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tom Brady's 12. Numbers mean a lot, right? So, Rookie of the Year, Boji Joe. We would like to congratulate Connor Zilic on winning that because, well, he's the only rookie in the Cup Series this year. So, assuming we don't get any other rookies, he did mention Corey Heim here earlier. That'd be a hell of a battle if we could get Corey Heim in a decent car in the Cup Series, but I don't think that's happening.
Indeed. Also, Jess saying hello, Jess. Good to see you.
Jess.
I know you're probably out there hanging on. And then Geronimo 18, even number year. Don't sleep on the 22. Hey, listen, that's already going to be
stay tuned. Stay tuned because it's a deeper conversation. And I think that's kind of what's cool about having odds out right now. We don't know what the playoff format is. So, yeah, even your Joey in the final 4 years, great. In the potential for a change, who knows? Maybe it's not as much. We'll definitely have that conversation when we get to it. So, good to see JDK checking in the chat as well. Yeah, all right. Let's see. One other piece of news I wanted to talk about before we move along. Actually, let's save this news for later. Do you want to wrap up let's save the wrap-ups for later in the week and talk about the other piece of news. How about that, Rod?
I will go where you lead, my friend. Just take me where you want.
So this is there's a Twitter handle or X handle that's called Colleague Nation. They follow the Colleague team extra close or whatever. So they shared some notes from Colleague Racing CEO Chris Rice. Had a Sirius XM spot about a week ago. It was back on the 5th. But here were the notes. I'm just going to kind of go through them. They're doing it on their own from now on. No RCR alliance. We already knew that. They sold about 20 of their Xfinity cars to a team that'll be aligned with RCR. That's kind of interesting. You wonder, okay, so it's going to be a Chevy team, right? Is it somebody like Spire who's dabbled in Xfinity but continues to just have loads and loads of money and want to build that program up? Is it going to be a newer team? Is it going to be, I guess who else? I don't know. It'll be interesting. Also, Haas is switching to Chevy, as we know. They're going to have a Hendrick Alliance in the Cup Series. So did they buy more cars? Maybe they'll expand from a 2-car team. A lot of potential possibilities out there for the Xfinity Series. I'm sorry, for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Rod, as it is now known as, right? But I think that's definitely interesting, especially because there's a lot of unknown. We were kind of talking about this before the show. It sucks there's not O'Reilly Auto Parts odds or Craftsman Truck Series odds, but there's a lot of seats that are still unaccounted for. So I think it'd be hard to put odds out at this point because we don't know all the drivers in these series yet.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I'm sorry, I was waiting for more. But no, it is.
There is
tough.
more, but I was going to pause and give you a chance to interject on the O'Reilly discussion.
So I guess I'm not going where you lead. No, and you're right, because when you look at the jumble that's about to happen in that series, and not just the drivers, but the teams and everything like that, I really wish they would be able to put out odds. Obviously, they're not. And as far as who's going to take that, I mean, your guess is as good as mine at this point, right? There's a lot of suitors. There's a lot of talented drivers that still up into Chris Wright. Boji Joe's talking about Chris Wright. No, there are a lot of talented drivers that still. And then if Spire does that, I mean, I know we were talking about Roger Carruth being up in part-time in the Xfinity next year. Do they manage to steal him and keep him in the seat?
Yeah, I don't. So he's full-time, part-time with JRM, but I think they've already got the other rides filled, but maybe it is with one of these teams. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential stuff out there, and being aligned with RCR, they won the 2025 O'Reilly Auto Parts / Xfinity Series Championship, if you don't remember, Rod. So not a bad team to be aligned with, right? Obviously coming off of a great season. They mentioned big wins business-wise with Ram and Stellantis. They've signed a super long-term deal. And then they put here in parentheses, they believe it's 10 years, bringing back a lot of the big hitters from the office part of things. Ram, this is interesting. Ram isn't only going to support the truck team. They're going to support the Cup team as well. And then they put, no idea what that means. There was no follow-up question. They obviously cannot race Dodge in the Cup Series right now. They'll continue to race Chevrolets. So is Dodge going to come in and just take whatever info Chevy's got? This is going to be a very interesting team because they're going to be out on their own now. they're the sole team with Dodge support, which is nice because now whatever eyes and stuff Dodge has, and we saw this last time Dodge came back into the Cup Series, right? They just dumped ass tons of money everywhere trying to make themselves something. And so are they going to get less Chevy support? I would guess, because Chevy probably doesn't like their partnership with Dodge everywhere. But how much is Dodge able to do with that? That's kind of an interesting dynamic that it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and honestly, if Dodge obviously gets more entrenched into the lower series, maybe they do make the return to the Cup Series, and that's what they're gunning for. Maybe they're trying to get as much information as they can to make a run back into the Cup Series, which would be highly amusing if happened. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I have to take a break real quick to tell you about our friends over at Novig. We're brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. Novig, you're getting the best prices, especially on Thursday Night Football. I know you're watching this on Thursday. You're probably listening to it on a Friday. So keep track of how everybody did on the top Thursday night TD props for everybody out there. The Patriots taking on the Jets. Cody's Patriots taking on the Jets. They got Drake May over 1.5 passing touchdowns at -155, which is one of the biggest public handles out there. Then they got Trayvon Henderson over 0.5 of a TD at -140. Lots of great prices out there. How about a Breece Hall over 0.5 a touchdown at +184? Those are some really good prices and really good lines for you to take advantage of. Novig available in 35 or more states, so go download that Novig app and get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. Get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. We told you about it before, but let's tell you about it now. Underdog, your home for pick'em entries where you can win up to 5,000 times your entry. Looking now at that game, the Breece Hall, higher than 0.5 of a rushing and receiving touchdown, gets you 1.27 times your entry if he does score a touchdown. So that is a good pick there. Underdog, they got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. That's the one I gave you a hard time on yesterday when you guys were talking about Breece Hall, and I said no one wants a Jets pick, and here I am giving out Jets picks.
Here you are giving out Jets picks. Yeah.
Jets. Those are offensive
RIP
picks.
to them this evening.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. They're like 12.5 point underdogs. It's just crazy.
Give me the Pats all day and all night tonight, of course.
Indeed. All right. Well, let's. Is there any more in that colleague that we should hit on?
Just finishing up the notes from here. Retain 99% of their employees. That's great. Obviously, they built a new fab shop, so like they're essentially positioning themselves to be the #1 team for Dodge at some point in the future when they do go to the Cup Series 27, 28, hopefully 27, maybe 28. But they're positioning themselves for that. Sounds like Ram leadership has offices in the Colleague building, so they're going to be there a lot. Like Ram's kind of all in on this. Also, we're waiting on this Ram show announcement, but they've apparently one of those rides they're doing a short reality show on to give that ride to somebody, that's going to be very interesting to follow or see, whatever. So, kind of crazy. Getting new trailers, blah, blah, blah. That's no mention of the futures of Christian Eckes or Ty Dillon. That's interesting. Ty Dillon going to Colleague. Colleague got better engines from RCR because he's obviously Richard Childress' grandson, but still being a Chevy team, but no longer aligned with RCR. Does that money keep him there? Who knows? Christian Eckes was rumored to be one of the Ram drivers. That rumor has kind of backed off. Sounds like maybe he's getting back into a different O'Reilly Auto Parts ride. Who knows? So we'll kind of see with that, but definitely some interesting notes from Colleague Nation there on Chris Rice's interview.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you add that to all of the just craziness that's between 2311, front row with these, I know we'll talk about that in length on another episode because that's an episode in and of itself, right? All of this lawsuit madness.
Especially if we get to trial here, which is just around the corner, beginning of December. So we'll see.
You don't want to be a Hendrick or a Gibbs or anybody that doesn't want to take the stage or take the stands this time. But yeah, I mean, obviously with all of this circling, right, when it starts to solidify, it'll be a lot more clear to us. But it's just, yeah, there's so much going on that makes this episode a little more important, because now we have to figure out, as Jess puts all of her money on Chris Wright. I don't know where you're where.
Correct.
I don't know. I mean, look, you can put it all there, but we don't know what the numbers are for Chris Wright yet. But that's what makes this championship odds, especially this early in the season, probably a little more fluid and maybe more lucrative for you, because once they firm up the playoffs format, you're probably going to get a different set of numbers on this as well. But right now, we're finding BetMGM with the championship odds. And Cody and I decided that we were probably just going to talk down through this list from the bottom up to the longer odds to the shorter odds, because obviously I'm not going to tell you that Riley Herbst is going to be the 2026.
Well, Rod, let me make the Riley Herbst argument. No, just kidding.
I was go ahead if you really want to.
Wait a minute. He's a 2311 car. If they win this lawsuit and they got all this money, well, I don't know.
I do know. No.
Okay, just kidding.
he of course is like 2,500 to 1, so there's no way he's doing this.
That's going to be a big no from
Yeah. Or is he 250?
Yeah, obviously.
I'm having trouble.
Yeah, be 250 to 1.
Yeah, 250.
But yeah, I mean, Riley Herbst bottom of the board. You know, he's just not a Cup Series material, championship material right now. Obviously, Zane Smith, Ty Dillon. We don't even know if he has a ride. John or Nemechek. Love the legacy guys, but yeah, I mean, no. Todd Gilliland's also in this group. No. McDowell. No. Eric Jones. I mean, just there's not really much of a conversation to be had around these guys. I don't know that these guys really have any type of a shot, and we don't know the format yet, which could potentially be important. Although what I will say is the format we currently have, where it's the one race, 4 drivers, probably is the one that lends itself to the biggest opportunity for an upset winner, right? If you were to get somebody to sneak in via Talladega in round 8, get to the championship 4, put together a perfect race like a Jesse Love did, whereas if you start expanding it out over 3 races, over 4 races, over 10 races, it's likely going to go more to the favorites, honestly, than anything else, because that's kind of why they want to change it, right? To give it to the quote-unquote more deserving champion. So, yeah, I guess interesting conversation to have. And I think there are certain guys that will kind of come into more as we get up the board where they might have an advantage or a disadvantage because of that argument.
Well, and so look, when you start talking about championship and when we talk about the format and everything like that, I know that there's a couple of people that were like, well, Kyle Larson would have won almost no matter what format you ended up having this year, so your arguments are all irrelevant, right? And that gets to the heart of the matter. What do you want? And I know that the debate, and we'll obviously have this at length probably this week. We should.
Actually, that probably should be one of our episodes, is just playoff formats. But I hate that argument because, yes, he would have, but they also would have raced differently, right? Denny Hamlin probably would have brought something a little different to Martinsville if they weren't already locked in, or somebody would have raced differently at Talladega if they weren't already locked in, or you would have changed your strategy in the race to just go get a finish instead of going for the win, or any number of things. And you add that up over whether it's 3 races or 4 races or 10 races or 36 races, depending on how we go into it, it changes everything, right? If you go tell me, okay, you score 1 point for every basket, and I just shoot all close baskets, and then later on you're like, oh, actually, if you shot it from farther back, it counted for 3. Why didn't shoot it from farther back? Because that would have been stupid, because I could get the same amount of points from shooting it close up, right? So it changes how everything is. So that argument to me is always kind of like, yeah, but it wasn't that way. So I don't know.
And that goes with any sport, though, that the rules change and evolve over the course of its life, right? I mean, you could say the same thing about football in terms of, well, yeah, but he got the record because he had 1 extra game. Well, that's the way the rules have played. And maybe if one of these running backs, Jim Brown, would have had an extra couple of games to try to extend his record, maybe his record would have been untouchable. And it's, there's so many things that you take into account when you say, yeah, but, you only play to the system that you're in, and that's what these guys have done. But
and that's, again, why you can't be mad at somebody like Jesse Love.
Exactly.
He knew the rules, and Connor Zillich knew the rules. That's what they were playing to. This is the result you got. That's just how it is.
It is. And really, to put in context, too, when we talk about this entirety of the championship odds and we talk about who we're kind of eyeballing and why we're sort of throwing away some of these guys at the bottom of the list, if you look at the list of winners, especially over the last few years, right? It's Kyle Larson, it's Logano, it's Blaney, it's Logano, it's Larson. Just that alone since the 2020s, right, where Chase Elliott kind of broke up the monotony of it. But since then, it's been Larson, Logano, Blaney, Larson, Logano. These guys that are at the top of this list, yes, anybody can win, but let's be completely honest with you. There's folks up there that are more likely to win than the rest of them, right? And if you go back before that, Kyle Busch in 2019, Logano in 2018, Truex in 17, Jimmy in 16, Kyle in 15, Harvick in 14, Jimmy, Keselowski, Stewart, and then Jimmy, which was a fantastic time to be alive. And then Tony and Kurt, right? So it's not like some of these guys, and it's fun to talk about them, but I'm not seeing Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Cole Custer, Daniel Suarez in his new ride. AJ Allmendinger. It's fun to speculate and to say that it could happen, but Noah Gragson, Ricky Stenhouse, they're not going to win a championship right now.
Yeah, and I like looking back, honestly, I don't know that you've ever had a true big upset. I mean, like, you could look at Joey Logano in 2018 and call that kind of an upset because the other three drivers all won like 8 races that year. It was the big three and me, and Joey gets in there. But you kind of look back now and you're like, well, he was a Penske car. You look at what he's done since then. Not as big of an upset. Granted, he was probably larger numbers-wise then, but yeah, I don't know. There's just not been a ton. And then a couple of quick things too. So as we talk about this on November, 13th today, we don't know what the format's going to be, right? So currently it remains the same, where it'll be the Final Four with the one race championship at Homestead, as Boji Joe points out, because that's the plan, right? And so, yeah, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, those are the 3 guys that come to mind if that's the case. Likely NASCAR is going to change that format, but we don't know what to, right? Is it going to be a 3-race final round where it's Homestead at the end, Martinsville, but Talladega is the wild card in there? Is it a 4-race final where you add Phoenix in there before that? Is it 5 where you add the Roval in there? Do they go to 10 potentially and you toss in Vegas and Kansas and Bristol and Gateway all and the Southern 500 all as playoff races where it's a 10-race chase like we had originally? Do they put more of an emphasis on wins where you get paid out more points for winning? So now we have to factor that in. So at this point in time, we don't know what the format's going to be, which is an interesting way. If you are going to make any of these bets now, you don't exactly know what format you're betting on this guy to win the championship for, right? So very interesting.
So then let's speculate, because this is where I think the point in the odds get a little more interesting, Austin Dillon notwithstanding. But you get a guy like Shane van Gisbergen at 150-1 out here sitting there.
Did we brush over the other guys just to mention their names?
We did.
Custer, Suarez, Allmendinger, Stenhouse, Gragson. Did you mention all those?
I did.
Okay.
I basically just said
that.
Guys like that don't necessarily. Well, because everybody did, and that's why we're not really talking about it. We're saying their names to say their names. But where it gets interesting is with SVG, right, sitting out here at 150-1. If you give more points for wins, he's going to dominate the road courses, right? We already know this. We already know with 6 of them on the schedule or however many there's going to be next year, he's going to be that guy there. So how much weight does that carry with them? Where does that take him? What does that do to Shane van Gisbergen?
Yeah. I don't know at 150-1 how you don't bet a little bit on Shane van Gisbergen. Is he going to go win the Cup Series championship in 2026, Rod? He probably isn't. That's why he's 150-1. But could he do it? I think he absolutely could. And I think it's going to take a lot. It's not going to be easy, and that's why it's 150-1. But you can certainly make the case. You look at the road courses, right? There's still 6 of them on the schedule between road courses and, are we calling it a street course? Are we calling it a base course? I don't know what we're calling it.
I'm calling it a drive in the ocean.
Base at San Diego there. But 1 naval course, 5 road courses. And but that's potentially 6 wins he's going to get to his name, right? We've seen the vast improvement on ovals, and that's the sticking point to this. If suddenly he's not only winning every road course, now he's running top 10, and now he's competing for top 5s, and maybe he sneaks up and catches a win through the first 20 races of the season, but then we get to the final 10, so now he's got a full Cup Series season behind him, plus a full Cup Series regular season, if that's what it is. And now he's got a chance to go in with a bunch of bonus points because he's got 5 wins before the playoffs, or 4 wins, or even 3 wins is still a good amount of wins. If those points are suddenly worth more going into the playoffs, or however they do this, you have that wild card of Talladega in there, no matter what the format is, can be a wild card. He's been pretty good at super speedways. What if he snags a win there, or a really good finish where, what are we down to 3 races? There's 4 guys. He's found his way in there because of extra points from the Roval win, and he did good at the other races to get in there. Whatever it is, and then suddenly he wins at Talladega, and Kyle Larson finishes last, and Bell and the other guy, Hamlin, all wreck out whoever's in the 4. Like, it's not crazy to think that SVG could do it. He's a world-class race car driver, top tier, and you absolutely at 150 to 1, go throw $10 on him. It's probably just $10 you're wasting, yes. But if it's not, what a hell of a story you're going to have. And just think about being able to have that into the playoffs. And for me, again, like just being able to sweat that later and be like, oh my God, we're down to whatever the format is, and I got 150 to 1 ticket on SVG. You have to bet him to win the championship.
And think about it this way. I mean, I'm with you 100%. I mean, he was second overall in total wins last season with 5, second only to Denny Hamlin with 6. And he's going to have this entire offseason to spend on the simulators. He's going to have this
he's invested.
Yeah.
He wants to be bet. Like, he's having fun with this, and he's not some of these guys that are wore out or been doing it forever or got so close and didn't get it done. Like, he's going to get better. And then over the course of what we assume is still going to be a regular season, another, what is that, 13 regular traditional ovals in there or whatever, to get better and better and better. Yeah, I like it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just no place for him to go but up, right? And then KCL8820 saying, take SVG.
Kyle, by the way, who's one of our he did good in multiple of our fantasy stuff, which we'll wrap up later in the week. But yeah, place 2 bets on him, right? One that you're going to keep and one that you go cash out. I know our buddy Nico is going to be doing that. They're going to offer you a cash out at some point when, he's got 6 wins and he's in the playoffs, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, here, you can have some money. You take it, and you still have another ticket on them. That's probably a good way to do it on any of these guys farther down the field that you think could have a good shot.
Yeah, and again, he made the playoffs last year, right? Obviously, he's on the strength of all those 5 wins. If he just gets better, if he just wins or finishes better, he's going to get there.
Vast oval improvement in the playoffs that we saw, that for me makes this a must. You have to bet something on SVG.
You certainly do have to bet something on SVG. It'd just be irresponsible for you not to, because I guarantee you right now, if we come back in 2-3 weeks, I don't think he's going to be 150 to 1. I think most of the other books are going to.
Everybody's about to go bet him.
Yeah, well, that's true too. So you better hurry up now, because he won't be 150 to 1. And some of these other books, when they start opening up their championship odds, I think they'll probably get a little more conservative with it and not do that. So I 100% like that. We have more drivers to discuss, plenty more to discuss. But first, let me tell you about our friends over at Rhythm. Rhythm is crushing it in college football, NFL, and now they just added the NBA. Rhythm is also giving away weekly cash prizes for tracking your bets in the app. You can track 5 bets of the same type from any model you build. You can win $1,000. Let's take a look at some of today's best predictions. Rhythm is trying to look right now at this, the Ravens and Browns game. You need a reason to pay attention. So the Ravens and the Browns, they're giving you 41.5 points on this one. So I'm assuming that this is probably going to be an under situation because I know the Ravens like to score points, but the Browns don't. So I will just hang my head on whatever number they give you. Take the under on that. Use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off of your first month. Go download Rhythm and use promo code SGPN25. Were it not for fantasy, you probably would not care at all about that game. I know that I wouldn't care about that game.
That's the beautiful part about fantasy and betting is it keeps you more in tune in some of these crappy games and crappy teams.
Indeed. All right. Well, so Shane van Gisbergen, we just left off at 150-1. Now there's a gigantic drop down to guys.
By the way, just real quickly, I don't remember if we mentioned at the top, but MGM is what we're looking at for these championship odds. They're one of the few books that have them out. I don't know. It looks like most of the main ones didn't, but they'll start trickling out more, obviously. But if you are looking right now to go place a bet, this is where we have been looking from.
Indeed, yes. So there's kind of a big drop-off between SVG at 150-1 to now Ryan Preece at 50-1. This is where we start getting some shorter odds. And in that ballpark, Cody, in the 50-1 ballpark, there's Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, Keselowski, and Cindric.
Oh, man. This little group right here just makes me salivate.
Yeah?
Because you can make a case for all three of these guys, and you're getting them at long odds. So I don't mind betting on them. If you're going to make me pick one, I think I'm going to go with Brad Keselowski, honestly. But so Keselowski and Preece, we've seen RFK be much improved, right? Yes, they didn't make any of the playoffs last year. And then that's why you're getting a good deal on them. Maybe that's the best thing. If they are going to come out and have a great year, they're going to be another year into it being RFK. The program continues to get better. They added that third car. Maybe that took away a little bit from the first two cars, but now we might be getting to the point where the third car can bring a return for the other two cars, right? So that could be helpful. Keselowski, he almost wanted Phoenix on that strategy call late there. Like, I think he didn't want to get in Blaney's way, and that's why he didn't. But he had some really good runs down the stretch. They didn't always get to the end of the stuff, but the RFK guys, or at least Keselowski and Preece, had some pretty good runs at the end. Buescher was kind of MIA, which is interesting. We'll talk about him in a few when we get up to his odds. But I think that these guys could certainly hit. Preece, probably the longest of the three if I were to make my own odds on these guys. But he can certainly put it together. This saw probably his best career season in his best opportunity. So a second year in that, again, another year of that car existing, I think would be helpful. But for Keselowski, former champion, it wouldn't be crazy to see this team find it and hit it and go. We saw Ford come out of the gate a lot quicker last year than they had previously. Now, overall, they still struggled behind Chevy and Toyota, yes. But if you do make it a couple of race deal at the end, he's great at Talladega. That obviously could be huge for him, building a points cushion or whatever it is. Going into those final races, however they're going to plan on that. Really kind of like Keselowski. And then Kyle Busch, I get it. We like to poke fun. He's not had a couple of great years, but Kyle Busch, this is, I don't know what is it? I don't know who he's comparable to. Is it like a Joe Flacco or one of these old guys that we like to poke fun at him and Aaron Rodgers, maybe not good as they once were, but don't forget, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably a better example because he is a great quarterback, right? One of the best of all time. You put him in the top 10, 20, whatever. But he is still one of the best race car drivers we've ever seen in the history of NASCAR and of racing. And so, if they're able to hit it, and he was close again this year, he's been close to a couple wins last year. We're not that far away from talking about, he was in the playoffs again. Things could flip pretty quickly, I think, with Kyle Busch. And then, again, what are the qualifications to get into the playoff? What is the playoff? That's the part we don't know. But if he can get in, and then they can hit on it late, and he shows up like a Jesse Love does in an RCR car, we saw some, Austin Dillon be good at Richmond, a shorter track. You got Phoenix still in that final round there, potentially, if it's 4 races. Don't count Kyle Busch out, is all I'm saying.
I won't count him out, but I certainly would not feel comfortable putting anything. I know that everybody in the chats right now talking about Pat, especially Boji Joe, totally on it now. But yeah, I mean, I
didn't say I was betting on Kyle Busch. I just said you can. Rowdy, go place your bet. It's fine. I don't think it's a bad bet. I'll say that.
Yeah, there's worse bets for sure. Like there's 250 to ones that you definitely want to. SVG already down to 50 to 1 over on Bet99 already. So see, this is what's happening.
JDK just got down big is what I'm guessing.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. But no, listen, when you talk about these RFK guys, right? Christopher Buescher, obviously the better of all three of them last year, 17th place, but Ryan Preece right there in 18th, Brad Keselowski in 20th. They were all right around each other. We talked about how well they run around each other anyway. So yeah, I mean, at 50 to 1, Brad Keselowski's done it before, running out of time to do it again.
Yeah, we'll give out like official picks maybe at the end of the show, but I'm right. I wrote Keselowski down. I think at 50 to 1, I want some Keselowski.
Beautiful. Any love for Austin Cindric? Not necessarily counting that in there. All right, let's get down to the 40 to 1 range where we see Alex Bowman at 40 to 1, Chris Buescher, as we talked about. What are we doing? What are we doing?
What do you mean, what are we doing?
Ty Gibbs at 40 to 1?
Yeah, okay. A couple of things. Austin Cindric, I just don't think he's going to be championship material. I don't know. I think we could definitely see a step up. You could make the same case I'm about to make for somebody else for him potentially here in a second, but I'm out on it. Alex Bowman at 40 to 1. I think it's going to be hard for that fourth Hendrick car to ever win a championship because it's the fourth Hendrick car. And while that is great, you want to be on the Hendrick team, being the fourth car makes it tough to be a champion, and I just don't think Alex Bowman is a champion.
God, remember when the 48 was the Hendrick car? Come on, man. Yeah. We weren't that far
removed. That car is still the car, but that team just turned into the 5 team, and that's the deal. But yeah, I just don't think Bowman's got it. Buescher, I like. If I have to pick a guy at 40 to 1, he's not the guy I'm picking. No. But Chris Buescher, I know that Budgie Joe said it, talked me into Buescher again. It was a really bad year for Chris Buescher. It was really bad. He was just out all season. And hopefully that's an outlier. I think that, if he could, I think he could win it, but I'm not racing to the books to bet him. I have placed already one championship bet, Rod, and it's on Ty Gibbs at 40 to 1. And here's the reason. Because if Ty Gibbs goes out and he's like he was this year, fine. It's a 40 to 1 bet. You lost it, whatever. But if he figures it out, look at those Joe Gibbs racing cars, and we know how good he is. And yes, he is the fourth Joe Gibbs racing car, which I just made a case against Bowman being the fourth Hendrick car, but his name is also on the building. So he could quickly advance from being the fourth car to not being the fourth car. We saw with Chase Briscoe, things clicked with him going over there, and they figured it out, and look at the run they went on, close to a championship, right? Denny, obviously, some would argue, should have been the champion, could have been the champion. So you had those two guys get that far. Christopher Bell had a 3-race win streak at one point, won a ton of races, had a great, successful season. Ty Gibbs, the talent is there. We know the talent's there. We saw it in the Xfinity Series. All these people have their noses so far up Connor Zilich's ass. Oh, my God, he's the next greatest thing. Oh, look how good he was. Ty Gibbs did what Connor Zilich did, not quite to the same level, but he also had to go against guys like Noah Gragson and other greats in the series at the time, where Zilich faced the weakest Xfinity Series field in years. Ty Gibbs was the same guy that Zilich is. Look how much he struggled in great equipment. I cannot wait to get to win totals and talk bad about Connor Zilich at that point in time. But if Ty Gibbs can figure it out and put it together, and they just find the right spark to get him going, we've seen this before. Once a guy gets that first win, they're going to roll in. And if you tell me suddenly 10 races into the season, he's got that first win finally, they start to build it up. We get into, again, whatever the playoff format is, he's in a Joe Gibbs racing car and things are clicking. At 40 to 1, I like the number on it. Again, maybe he just sucks. That would be unfortunate. But I think you can build enough of a case. And at 40 to 1, 50 to 1, 150 to 1, like we've talked about so far, building a case is what we're trying to do, right? It's if it was, oh my goodness, that's a shoe-in, well, he's not going to be 40 to 1 for that reason, right? So Ty Gibbs, I will tell you, is the only guy I've already placed a bet on at 40 to 1.
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's improbable. And Boji Joe wants to know, how does SVG and Ty Gibbs differ? And if you like SVG, how do you not like Ty Gibbs? There's one simple reason, Boji Joe. SVG wins races. Ty Gibbs does not.
Hasn't yet.
And does not. He has not won a race. SVG has won races. So, that's all I have to say about that, because I don't, obviously, like I said, I'm not saying it's not impossible. I'm just saying it is highly improbable.
I mean, again, this isn't, I'm not saying, he's going to be the champion. Like, it's a for sure thing. But I think at the number that it's at, you can build the case that all the pieces are there. All the pieces for this puzzle are here. Can we put the puzzle together is the question. But the talented driver's there. The great team is there. All the resources are there. Everything is here. We have all the ingredients. We just got to find the right combination of ingredients to make it taste good. And it's possible at 40 to 1.
All right, but right now it just still tastes like shit, so I'm not buying it. All right, the books are trolling.
That's why you're getting it at a discounted price, right?
The books are trolling me as we move to the 30 to 1 range, because they put both Carson Hocevar and Ty Gibbs right next to each other.
How is Carson Hocevar 30 to 1 and Ty Gibbs is 40 to 1?
This is
I
the
love
question.
Carson Hocevar, but come on, in a Spire car, we're not ready to talk about championship level. Carson Hocevar, extremely talented driver, very excited for the future. Yes, but come on, at 30 to 1, I mean, even you would say to take Ty Gibbs over him at 40 to 1, I'm sure, Rod.
I actually would. That would be. But this is what.
Could you just say I would bet Ty Gibbs at 40 to 1?
Are you going to make me say it again?
That was the question. So.
I don't want to say it again, Cody. Don't make me say it again. But I'm just with both of these guys, right? You obviously, okay, great. Talented drivers. Can't argue that, because they're there, right? They're there and I'm not. That makes them more talented than me, and all I can do is just sit here and talk about them while they're going out and doing it. I get that. But when you look at the finishes, when you look at the way that you have to get it done, every single time. You have to be not just in the conversation, you have to be the conversation. And neither one of them have been in the conversation the entire race all season long. So I can't, 40 and 30 to 1, no. Like, put them in the 100 to 1 range with some of these other guys that have not won, that are not winning, that are not finishing consistently good enough to be in the conversation.
I think Gibbs is probably correct because of the car he's in. Hocevar, I agree. We're to the point in these odds where you could build a case for any of these guys. You could build a case for Hocevar. Maybe it's just the sophomore year and he really hits it, and Spire, like, all the money comes through and it just, but it's so far out there. I don't think you're getting that 30 to 1 and good enough. This is the part where you have to pick, like, you could build a case for all these guys, I think, from here on up, but you're really stretching to build a case, and at 30 to 1, it's just not worth it. Indeed.
There's a couple other 30 to 1s that I would probably consider over that, and one of them is Bubba Wallace. The other one, Josh Berry, I would probably build a stronger case for Bubba Wallace at 30 to 1 than any of these other guys right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Berry, look, I think we got fooled early in the season. Yeah, we got fooled early in the season. Great race to Las Vegas, wins the race. Just shat the bed later on in the season. And I remembered why I hated him before. So I will not be betting on him. Bubba Wallace, though, look at his playoff run. Look at the playoff run they put together. 23-11, we think, is a great team. Obviously, at this point in time, we're still awaiting the outcome of the lawsuit, of the potential trial, how all that stuff's going to shake out, what that could look like next year. But that doesn't change the fact that he just had a great playoff run, looked very, very good in doing so. And at 30 to 1, again, this is a guy that you could build a pretty strong case for. Is 2026 Bubba Wallace's championship season? I don't think we're quite there yet, but I could see a place where he could definitely be in the argument, especially if we're putting it over, a 3-4. See, 10 races would actually probably open this up the most, because you're going to be just looking for the guy that puts together the best 10 races, and I think that does open it up a lot. So I'm very interested to see what this format ends up being.
I would 1,000% go Bubba Wallace over Hocevar if you were placing a bet at 30 to 1 for sure. That's just no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, it's a bit shocking to me these guys are at the same number. Maybe Bubba's just not getting the respect he's kind of earned and deserves. But they two shouldn't be in the same price range, and I would definitely take Wallace over Hocevar, and I don't think Berry should be in the same conversation as the two of them, honestly.
Yeah, no, and honestly, that's
a Wood Brothers car. Like,
yeah,
Austin Cindric, How is Austin Cindric at 50 to 1 and Josh Berry's only at 30 to 1? That to me, I don't know. I get that Berry won a race this year, yes, but Cindric did too, actually. So I don't know.
I think Bubba is priced right. I just think that the other two are mispriced. So, all right, let's move.
Should we? I think we had to do this last year, but should we split the rest of these guys into part 2? I don't want to run out of time at the top of the board. Should we come back tomorrow with part 2 of this and talk about the top? Because I think like everybody above this deserves an in-depth conversation on how they could potentially be the champions.
Let's just hope they don't move the prices before we get to the episode tomorrow. But let's do that. Let's do that.
You really like somebody, go bet them now before we move the price.
Cliffhanger where we left off now. We just got done with the 30 to 1s. We will continue this conversation. 25 to 1 and
sorry
shorter.
If you were hanging on a thread for the Joey Logano talk. It'll be back tomorrow. But I think it'll give us more time to focus in on, like, these are the guys where you're going to want to pick your 1 or 2 guys that you want to be well invested on, right? Yeah, SVG, you'll throw $5-10 on, but again, everybody's got their different budgets. But these are the guys where you might consider a heftier investment, and I think that they deserve a longer conversation.
Boji Joe, you don't know the industry. I can't tell you who it is because you got to come back tomorrow and find out exactly who it is. Teaser, who is it?
I will say, though, based on all the guys we have talked about, the 3 bets that I've already placed one of them, but I will be placing the other 2 today. SVG at 150 to 1, I absolutely want money on. Brad Keselowski at 50 to 1, I would like a sprinkle on. And then I've already placed the Ty Gibbs at 40 to 1 bet.
Yep, I'm 1,000% down with the SVG bet just because we just saw it. It's now at 50 to 1 in some places, so you need to jump on 150 to 1 now.
Don't wait on that one because apparently it might move.
Apparently it might. It does move. But all right. Well then, Cody, as we've put a pin in the championship odds, we'll come back with part 2 tomorrow and talk about the more shorter odds. But before we do all of that, let everyone know where they can find you out in the social media world.
Yeah, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all of my stuff over there. Lots of it. College football upset parlay Thursday night. If you're going to go watch the Patriots kick some ass tonight, you can go get all my favorite bets on that game. NFL props will be out soon. NFL confidence pool picks will be out. NASCAR stuff in the works. There's all sorts of stuff for sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Go check out Old Fashioned Football. Justin and I yesterday broke down everything over on that show for this weekend. So a lot of fun there. Appreciate Justin for having me on. And hi, Laura. Good to see you. Laura popped into the Old Fashioned Football chat yesterday, Rod. So shout out to her. Good to see you here today, Laura. And excited to talk about the championship favorites tomorrow on tomorrow's episode.
701 episodes. Cody is now the professional that he's always been, and I love it. All right. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. I'm kind of boring lately. Let's just put it that way. I'm going from one thing to the next, and if you catch me, that's great. But I definitely love hanging out with all you guys.
You never bore me, Rod.
I bore myself on Twitter right now with all my gifs about San Francisco and all that. Yeah, it's always boring. But there's some good stuff that I got going on. You can find it there on Twitter as well. All right. See you tomorrow for the championship favorites. Thanks for hanging with us this far. So until then, let's go racing and let it ride.